Karen, I'm worried about that dip in the third quarter. The report is due out this afternoon.
Well, Bob, I thought that marketing really pushed out that new product too soon.
Well, the marketing manager, Simpson, will be meeting with my reps next week. I'd like to speak to you more about this after I send the report to Collins.
Okay, well, I'm going to be in a meeting all day today, but why don't you give me a call tomorrow morning about 9 o'clock?
Okay. In the meantime, I'm about to send a letter to Simpson. It's rather standard, except for the final paragraph. Would you take a look at it?
Sure, let me see it.
Just a second. I've got it on the disk. Okay, there it is.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Why don't you just change that last line to read, "We must receive a reply from your office by the end of next week."
You're right. We're running short of time on this project.
Well, maybe that'll speed things along.
Right. Thanks. Okay, I'm sending it out now. By the way, have you seen what's happening with that Digicomp stock?
No, what did it do last month?
Well, let me call it up on the screen. It's up 2 points over what my broker predicted.
That's terrific. Do you think it's too late to get in on the action?
No, I'd say it's just starting to move up. Look, I'm going to order more now. I'll get you 100 shares if you want to take a flyer.
Sure, thanks. Tell me what the total fee is, and I'll transmit the funds to your account.
Okay, you've got 100 shares. Now, if you send me the money, I'll have my broker take care of it right away.
Very good. I'll send you a facsimile of my fund transfer. Oh, I see Jack is holding for me. I think he wants to talk to me about that new budget.
No problem. Talk to you later. I guess all of us have seen some pretty amazing communications technologies in science fiction visions of the future. But this technical capability is very close to reality. In this program, you'll see more examples of the kinds of telecommunications that will be common in the next 10 years. The terminals might be different, but the functions and features you just saw will be possible. As a matter of fact, everything I did is technically possible today, but an installation like this would be so specialized and expensive that there would be a small market for the services. However, if you'll accept my hypothetical terminal just a little longer, I'd like to use it to access a hypothetical database, the kind of information source that could be available to customers in the very near future. It will help me demonstrate to you networks that will make everything you just saw technically and economically feasible. We call them integrated services digital networks. Digital implementation has been growing since 1962, and a wide variety of digital equipment is now in operation. But public-switched end-to-end digital networks are now being established. The standards, the technology, and the demand for digital networks already exist. Using integrated services digital networks as a standard network architecture, a new world of communication services will be opened. The formal definition of an integrated services digital network is a public end-to-end digital telecommunications network with signaling, switching, and transport capabilities supporting a wide range of services accessed by standardized interfaces with integrated customer control. That's quite a mouthful. Let's talk about the services first. With ISDN, it will no longer matter to the network whether information is voice, data, or video. The entire world can be linked to transmit and receive voice, low and high-speed data, facsimile, high-resolution graphics, high-quality stereo sound, video, and many other services. Integrated services digital networks will provide access to a multiplicity of such services and combinations of services that can be used simultaneously. ISDNs are the networks of the 1990s. Plans are now underway for fully digital local networks that will allow ISDN terminals to connect to long-distance carriers, packet networks, electronic mail services, information and database services, catalog shopping services, public utility meter reading systems, security services, outpatient monitoring systems, public opinion polls, and video services. Most of those services are available now in some limited way, and digital transmission capabilities that will lead to ISDN are being implemented now. But we're still short of having an integrated services digital network. All the current digital service offerings are missing an essential element: integrated access. Today, many telephone companies offer special digital services. Among these are circuit switch digital service, digital private line service, and packet switch service, in addition to plain old telephone service with custom calling features. Each of these digital services are provided on a segregated basis. Customers order them as additional installations, and frequently they are only available to businesses that have established digital private lines for internal purposes. With ISDNs in place, these separate access lines will no longer be necessary. Instead, all of these services will be available through one integrated ISDN access line. Today, almost all digital connections in the system convert at some point to analog in order to traverse the network. And using the public network, millions of personal computer owners still need modems to reach other digital devices and systems. But all of that is changing. The changes are coming for a variety of reasons, and all of them will move us closer to integrated services digital networks. One reason for this is digital technology. Engineering sophistication is growing as the prices of the components are coming down. And to make all these new devices compatible, the international standards body, known as the CCITT, has established recommendations that are available for use by telecommunications suppliers worldwide. With those standards in place, new devices and services can be introduced, and customers will press their demands for less expensive, all-digital service, ways to avoid modems and the slower transmission speeds of today's public networks. In economic terms, both the suppliers and customers of digital services will find integrated access more cost-effective than it is today. This is due to lower costs for provisioning and the absence of specialized circuit design requirements. The opportunity to offer state-of-the-art ISDN services is here. Users are going to demand all digital networks, and the telephone companies are in a good position to respond now. Okay, you've heard the reasons, and you've seen a bit of the capabilities. But what happens on an ISDN line to make all those services possible? The basic ISDN line from the terminal to the local network will be composed of 3 separate channels. 2 of them are called B channels, and they can be used for voice, packet-switched, or circuit-switched data. The B channels operate at 64,000 bits per second. At 64 kilobits, these B channels are capable of transmitting data at a rate that is 50 times faster than most PC modems, which send digital data over the analog network. There is also a separate signaling channel called the D channel. It is always open and provides the customer's link to the network. The D channel operates at 16 kilobits and enables a customer to be in constant contact with the network while using one or both B channels for separate purposes. All the customer's calls are set up using signaling on the D channel. Not only is it used for signaling, it can serve to transmit packet switch data and telemetry, while the B channels are carrying voice, data, or other information. This ISDN access is called the basic interface. A second type of access standardized by the CCITT is called the primary rate interface. The primary rate interface has a transmission rate of 1.544 megabits per second and can provide 23 separate B channels and 1 D channel for signaling. Using this configuration, the primary rate interface can connect digital PBX systems directly to integrated services digital networks. When ISDN terminals are developed, customers will be able to access an integrated services digital network at work, at home, or wherever ISDN is available. Smart terminals like these could be programmed to use the D channel to set up calls for the customer, basically a sophisticated extension of today's dialing services. Let me show you what I mean. Let's say I want to check my home monitoring service. I touch a few keys, and the D channel signals my home terminal to send me current information, like the temperature, the humidity, the outside temperature, and it reassures me that the house is secure. This information is delivered on the D channel, which means the 2 B channels are still available to me for other calls. Well, here's another feature of ISDN. Even though the D channel is sending me data from one source, it can also signal me that my field manager is trying to reach me with an urgent message. Hello, George. Where are you?
I'm in my car, and we've got some heavy traffic out here. I wanted to ask you if you had those new sales figures ready.
Yeah. Do you still want to have a teleconference later today?
I do, but could you send the data to my office so it'll be there when I get in? I'd like to take a look at it before we talk.
Sure thing. I've got it on disk and can transmit it now.
Great. I hear we had a dip in the third quarter, and I think we better find a good explanation for that report.
I'm with you on that one. Can you hold a minute?
Okay. Doesn't look like I'm going anywhere out here.
Mr. Collins is speaking to me on one of my B channels. I can retrieve the sales figures from my files and use the D channel to set up data transmission to Mr. Collins' branch office on the other B channel. All right, the file is in your office right now.
Great. Wish I were.
What time would you like to meet?
How about 4 or 4:15?
Fine. Talk to you later. To understand how the ISDN line manages all of those functions, let's take a look at what happened on the 3 channels during the scenario you just saw. All my call setup requests were made using the D channel. Because the D channel can also handle telemetry, the information about my home was retrieved through the D channel. This information is available to me throughout the call sequence. When Mr. Collins called, his calling information was received on the D channel as well. His voice was transmitted on one of the B channels. The D channel allowed me to set up the data transmission call while still in contact with Mr. Collins on the B channel. The data sent to Mr. Collins' office was transmitted on the other B channel. Throughout the transmissions, the D channel was used for all of the signaling and telemetry information, allowing me to control all of these functions from my terminal. As you can see, the D channel is a very powerful element of ISDN. Using the D channel for signaling and telemetry in this instance kept the B channels open for the transmission of voice, data, and other services. Today, people use separate devices for different communications functions through the network: telephones, terminals, and other instruments. Many of them can only access the network through special plugs and modems. With an ISDN terminal like this one, all those devices may be combined in one terminal, connected with one modular plug. The terminal may have a handset, speakerphone, keyboard, CRT, a video camera, and access to several kinds of data storage and replication. Of course, not every customer is going to buy the latest terminal on the first day it's offered for sale. So, what about the existing equipment that is now connected to the telephone network? For equipment that needs access to ISDN, terminal adapters will be available. Manufacturers are already making chips that can transmit the 2B plus D configuration. And all the new ISDN terminals will be able to communicate with the older terminals, including all the telephones now connected to the network. Whatever the ISDN device, it will be connected to an integrated services digital network with this one standard interface plug. One plug will serve many devices. Now, the important question is, how is this new technology actually being implemented into the existing telephone network? An initial step is the ISDN trials, which are now being planned in several cities. In addition, every new digital system installed by a telephone company can lead to ISDN. The growth of ISDN is an evolutionary process. Integrated Services Digital Networks will probably begin service to selected central offices first. Eventually, entire lattice can become ISDNs. Inter-exchange carriers can take the digital signals to other lattice. Now that the ISDN interfaces are internationally standardized, everyone in the world can be linked through public digital communications networks. We've given you some of our ideas about the ways ISDN might be used. However, the emergence of integrated services digital networks will permit the development of services that haven't even been conceived. Excuse me, my wife is trying to reach me. Hi, you still taking me out to dinner tonight?
Sorry, honey. but I got stuck at work. I was hoping you'd start dinner when you get home.
No problem. What time do you want to eat?
7:30. Gotta run, bye.
Bye-bye. Besides bringing us services we can't begin to imagine, integrated services digital networks will vastly improve some things that we just couldn't live without.